Hey everybody, this is Michael Parent with another helpful Excel tip. So in the last Excel tip, what I showed you was how to change these names. We had lists of presidential names, and we formatted them so that they're all now proper nouns. The first letter of each text is capitalized. So we've got G, capital George, capital Washington, versus having, again, we'll just use upper to show you that George, originally was all capitalized. Now, the issue here is that we've got them in um, two columns. And let's say I just want one cell that has the full name of George Washington. So I just want George Washington. I don't want the first name in one column. I don't want the last name in another. I want it consolidated. And the formula that we can use to get there is something called concatenate. Now, I'm not a linguist. I don't know the etymology or history of concatenate, but essentially what we do is we just call that function and we select the cell George. We put a comma in between, and then we select the other cell Washington. And when we do this, what we'll get is we'll get George Washington, but it'll all be kind of one word. So a way to get around this is to go back in and then between these cells, enter quotation marks and then put a space between the quotation marks. And what you'll have is George, and essentially you've put in a space, Washington. And that's just a quick way, if we drag this down, to bring in all of the text between the two columns into one column. Now, let's say we're working in reverse and we want these names all in separate columns. Well, that's a little bit trickier, but Excel makes it really easy for us because they have something cool called text to columns. So if you go up into the home or into the ribbon and you go over to the data tab, kind of in the middle of the data tab, you'll have something called text to columns. And if you select that, you'll get two options. Almost every time you're going to go to this delimited. Again, not a linguist, not particularly good at pronunciation either. If you click that, it will pretty much ask you what character on the keyboard do you want to use as criteria for splitting apart words. And in this case, what we're going to use is we're going to use a space. Or better yet, actually, let's go back. Rather than putting a space here in this concatenate, I'm going to put a comma in and of itself. And I'll show you. Now it's George, comma, Washington, John, comma, Adams, Martin, comma, Van Buren. And if I go up to the text to columns, I go to delimited. And if I select comma, you'll see there's no line here in kind of this preview. But if I hit comma, you'll see, boom, all of a sudden there's a line. And as we hit next and then hit finish, what has happened? I don't know what's happened.